So we have all seen the fallout of Redfall now post-launch. A lot of gamers hate the game. The game has not been received well at all. Critics hate the game. The game has a very low review scores as well. And there has been a lot of mismanaging behind the scene with Redfall. And even Phil Spencer had to come out with an apology on a podcast, basically saying, I'm sorry, we should do better for our Xbox exclusives. And now we are kind of wondering what really went wrong with Redfall in particular. And Jason Schreier just came out with a new article on a lot of details on why Redfall failed. So big props for Jason Schreier here to basically dig into this story and give us the details. Let's talk all about that for today's video. So I have here some comments from Jason Schreier. I do not have access to the full article on Bloomberg because it's paywalled, but I do have some short summary stuff from him on Twitter as well as some other places. So let's take a look at the details of what happened to Redfall. By the way, this video is going to be a lot of text and reading because there's a lot of information for it. So be prepared to sit back, maybe have a drink, because we are going to sit here maybe for a while. Also, do not forget to comment in the comment section down below, and maybe I might feature you in the next video. Maybe you can comment something on Redfall, maybe you've played it, let me know in the comment section. Redfall started development in 2018. Arcane's Prey had been a flop. ZeniMax demanded microtransactions and management wanted to make a game with broad appeal. It was pitched as a multiplayer Arcane game, but it was never clear what that would mean or how it would work. So I always suspected, I said this in my last video, I always suspected that Redfall from its core design elements was more like a multiplayer game. And I think I was basically right on this. They basically halfway development transformed this game into a single player game. And that's why it's half-baked with the still moving cutscenes, not having fully animated cutscenes, a very disappointing storyline, not a lot of side quest stuff like that. That was one of also major red flags with Redfall. That the fact that it was always supposed to be a multiplayer game does not surprise me at all. And we can basically point the fingers towards ZeniMax. That is very interesting. Arcane was always understaffed, but on Redfall, attrition also became a significant problem. By the end of Redfall's development, a whooping 70% of Arcane Austin's developers who worked on Prey were no longer there, according to people familiar as well as Bloomberg analysis. Yeah, that's very sad. So when they are probably going to make a new Prey at Arcane Austin, if that ever happens, a lot of the staff of the original game is just not there anymore. That's very sad, and I hope they can recover to make good single-player games again, like a Dishonored. I really want to see a new Dishonored and maybe a new Prey as well. A lot of these devs are basically already gone. By 2023, Redfall's microtransactions were gone, but the problems remained. Arcane leadership promised that the game would coalesce with Arcane Magic. Sounds familiar? So basically what Jason means here, this all is reminiscent to BioWare, the BioWare Magic, because that basically the same thing happened with Anthem. If you guys remember, that game, it was supposed to be a live service game from BioWare, even though BioWare has no knowledge of making multiplayer games at all. They are a single player RPG studio, and they basically got ham-fisted this multiplayer game. Hey, make a multiplayer game. Of course, they did not know at all how to do that. They even did not had a concept before until the E3 trailer dropped, the teaser trailer, and a lot of devs were like, oh, okay, we're going to make that. I remember that story as well. And BioWare Magic, yeah, that's Arcane Magic. You cannot just shove out a game in like a year. if you are so stuck on pre-concept phase when you are making and thinking of the basics of what the game will be. And if you're going to shift around mid-development, basically core stuff, core gameplay, core concept designs, then it's going to fail. And that's basically the same thing that happened with Anthem and the same thing here that happens with Redfall. How would it be if Redfall released with microtransactions? It would even get shit upon even more. Now, I have some more details. Development of Redfall began in 2018. At the time, ZeniMax, the large privately held owner of Bethesda Softworks, was looking to sell itself behind the scenes. The company was encouraging its studios to develop games that could generate revenue beyond its initial sales. A popular trend dubbed games as a service, which was taking off in the late 2010s thanks to lucrative hits like Overwatch and Fortnite. According to people familiar with the process, ZeniMax was strongly urging developers at its subsidiaries to implement microtransactions. That is, recurring opportunities within games for players to spend real money, say outfitting their characters. Although this wasn't an absolute mandate, several ZeniMax franchises such as Fallout, Doom and Wolfenstein would soon release new versions incorporating online multiplayer and monetizing opposition. So ZeniMax might have also been the one behind Fallout 76. We know Todd Howard was on stage, was like, yeah, I always probably wanted to make a multiplayer game, multiplayer Fallout, but I'm kind of skeptical on that. I was always skeptical of the idea of Fallout 76. Does Bethesda Game Studios really want to make a multiplayer game on an engine that is not designed for multiplayer? I always find that very skeptical, and I get some devs have maybe multiplayer dreams to have some sort of multiplayer in their games, but most of the staff there, I can tell you, they want to make single player games. And I don't think Todd was like, let's shove in multiplayer. Yeah, that's stupid, but I have the feeling that a lot of the blame here, especially for Redfall, is coming from the upper management of ZeniMax. Now, Xbox has basically its hands-off approach deal with his games. Phil Spencer said as much also in the podcast that they are very hands-off. And that's kind of good that they are hands-off, but it can also lead to no quality control. And at some point you do have to have some sort of balance in there. As a publisher, you need to oversee these games. These games are your console selling platforms, Game Pass selling, Redfall is supposed to sell Game Pass subscriptions, Xbox consoles as well. And if your game does not meet a quality standard and fans will complain, a lot of these subscriptions won't sell. Consoles won't sell. So Xbox does have to do some quality control behind the scenes. And I hope they did that for Starfield, because I don't want Starfield to be the second Fallout 76 or Anthem or Redfall, Now, Starfield is more a dream project, though, of that studio. So I have a feeling Starfield is going to release fine without uninspired design, shall I say. Maybe there will be some technical hiccups, FPS drops, something like that, or maybe some bugs. At the end of the day, it's a Bethesda Games game, These games do have bugs. I am more confident in Starfield because from what I've seen, this is an actual dream project that studio wants to do. It's a dream project of Todd Howard himself. So I have a lot more faith in Starfield, and from what I've seen and heard from interviews, from what I've seen from the gameplay they've released, they want to make this a Fallout, Skyrim single-player RPG, going back to RPG roots, a bit like Oblivion. They want to have some systems from Oblivion back into Starfield. So I'm seeing a good development so far for that game. Maybe it will be buggy a little bit on launch, because let's be honest, this shit is really ambitious. It's a game where you can travel from planet to planet. I mean, Not a lot of games have that, guys. No Man's Sky has that, but No Man's Sky is a procedural generation game with not a lot of handcrafted content. So still, these games are a bit different. The most comparable thing to Starfield might be Star Citizen, but Star Citizen, that's nowhere close in hindsight. So yeah, what happened to Redfall is sad, and it's basically a byproduct of the publisher ZeniMax being like, you got to make a lot of money, go make a live service game, even though the Arcane developers did not want to make that at all. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think of this whole expose from Jason Schreier. I know this video was a bit longer, there was a lot more text, but thank you guys for sticking with me. Thank you guys for watching. As always, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think of this news. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe of course to the channel if you want to see more gaming news, leaks and rumors. I do that stuff a ton. And also stay tuned for my Xbox predictions video, which I will do soon, some-ish in the next few days, at least before the showcase will start. And of course, visit my social media in the description down below. And I will see you guys in the next Get Rekt Gaming News video. Bye bye.